across the globe and here in Nigeria, we are seeing what earning season is ongoing. We are seeing numbers hitting left and right here. We need to look at that. That is very, very important at this point. We need to look at it right away. It's very, very important. We are seeing that the market is also doing, it's doing beautifully right, okay now. We need to see how we can take advantage of this market right now, to position. Sorry, the internet had a little issue. Let me just connect to another one. Sorry, we are back. We had a internet connection problem. We just think we are back again now. Yes, from where I stopped, I was saying that the global market is looking red now, and the African market was seeing in its performance and being the center of any season in this matured market. And here we are seeing that most investors are taking advantage of the any season to look at their portfolio in the right direction, and that is the way to go at any time, any day in any market. That means we need to pay attention to what the market is doing right now and see how we can take advantage of any pullback or any dip to buy into value. Because most of these company earnings have reviewed where the company is coming from and where they are going. That means if you want to buy into value, with these numbers we have seen so far, you'll be guided to know what to do. And also where you need to exit position, these numbers also, I tell you that any season is not just a period to look at numbers, it changed the dynamics of the market. Why? You see that is the period that you see high volatility, that's the period you see inflow, that's why you also see volume because a lot of activities is taken on. That's why you must pay attention to that. But at the same time, you review the position of companies on the on different exchanges, whether you are in US, in Nigeria, in Ghana, in South Africa, in US, in Europe, or even in Asia. This is what every investor want to pay attention to see how is the market going or how the market doing. That's why you must not look away from the market anytime, any day. Just like I just said, quick one to look at the market right now. As you look at the first trading day of February is opening in the red in Asia market. Also, we're seeing the same trend, in Europe and in US. But before we go looking at the market, we look at how this market has performed in the month of January, and the pattern will spread these things also to do going to the future. That means we want to look at this market, this performance of this of this market in the month of January. I might not quickly give you all the winners and others, but I want to give in terms of the major indices in this market, how they are fared in the month of January. That will give you an insight. And also Nigeria also market, how we are fared, where are we going, the kind of chart pattern we are seeing or index pattern we are seeing from the general market. Are we expecting to see a market breaking out for what we are seeing this consolidation stage we are seeing in the market now, or side or ranging market we are seeing? We must understand what we're about to do now so that it will help you to make fun. We feel like for the first quarter of the year, knowing that in Nigeria and Africa here, we know that the peak of any season in our market is this first quarter. How can we take advantage of it? Or in the history of our market, when I come there, we also look at it. Yes, back to mature market. I said if you look at the Asia market now, I said that looking at Asia market, we see that the market in that region have performed extremely well. Let's start from if you look at the performance from let's start from okay. Let's look at performance in China. China market. I said that in China market for the month of January, I said that we see that the market in China by was up by how many percent? China market was up by 3.8%, and that of UK also was up by 2.9%. US market was up. When I mean up, let's go look at they have major trade index. Well, let's look at One of the, let's say, S&P was up by 1.8%, and that of NASDAQ was also 1.2%. Now, if you look at also in France, France market was down, by 0.3%, and that of Germany also was up marginally by 0.1, and Hong Kong was also up 6.9 for the month of January, and Japan market was up by 5.9. And if you go back to see in BRICS, what performance was in BRICS, I think that in BRICS was saying that yes, if you look at the results from or the market performance from Brazil, Brazil was up by 13.5%, and that of Russia was up by 13.2, and India market was down in the month of January by 3.5%. Like I said earlier, that China market was up by 3.8, and that of South Africa market was also up by 4%. Back to see Africa market, let's see what I've seen. If you look at Nigeria, Nigeria market is one of the best performing market for the first month of the year, ranking like the number 2 market after taking from Egypt. Egypt had about 14.2% in Africa. NGX has about 6.27%, and that of Ghana recorded 2.7%. Kenya 5%, and Morocco had negative 0.3% down, and Mauritius market recorded 1.4 negative for this first month of the year. Yes, you can see how this market has performed in terms of their looking at the state of the market. What is the P ratio of this market? I'll tell you that when you see a market where you see P ratio is above 15 times, it tells you that yes, either that market has witnessed very strong rally, or also you have seen that most of the stock there have entered another group. As we speak now, you can see that if you look at the whole, it's only you can see that the major market in US, that is why we are seeing also part of our discussion this morning. We are seeing that NASDAQ in US, we are seeing that market or that index is already doing about a P of 44.3 at the end of January. That also sent a signal. Even S&P is almost around 27.8 times. That tells you what is happening in that market. But if you look at that of UK is already around 15.8 times. You can see, this also tells you what is happening. If you want to look at the market, is it overpriced? Is it you can see why the general perception about the tech companies overpriced in mature markets, especially in US. You can see that the price to earnings for that index now that is 44 points. You can see what the concern people are having over there. But let's come and look at what is the the price to earnings for African market. That will tell you where the Nigerian market lies, and the opportunity that's also underneath underpin in this market. You need to also understand. If you look at Nigerian market as at the end of January, our price to earnings, market price to earning is about 7.6. That is below 15. That our market, even when we are seeing a price shift in January, in the year 2025, then in the month of January, we have seen also temporarily and an expectation. See, we are seeing that at that end, we are seeing that the market period is, that means our market is still undervalued. That means the numbers we are seeing will reveal more to you to know where you are seeing some stuff that are overvalued. But the general market, to speak, as at end of 30th of January, is about 7.6, which is also, but Egypt as well, that also including the market in Africa about 14.2 gain for them, also has about 10 point, still also below 15. Can see that is why emerging market or African market can see that most of the emerging market are below 15, and that is why the funds are moving to them. Also, if you look at that of Ghana, Ghana is about 7.3, price to earnings. Kenya is about 7.3, and Morocco also, where we are seeing that market is down by 0.3, it's also about 20.1. You can see that even Mauritius was saying it's about 6.8. This tells you that yes, that we are seeing most of this African market having an upside potential. Apart from those that are having expression that has a election either next year or this year, that will be see a lot of misactivity. But looking at the market at the beginning of the year, most of these markets are good, and knowing that these are any season, that most of the numbers have hit the market in this environment, but this different environment. But I believe that between now and end of March, where you see more numbers, will also from April, that's in the first quarter for the current financial year, for those companies that align their financial year with what the normal calendar of the year, January to December. That means by April, that's in the first quarter. But you can see that this price to earnings for each market tells you what is in for what traders and investors. Yes, let's quickly move back to the market performance for at this hour, the first 20 days of February. Yes, we'll do more in Nigeria market, we'll be looking at the trend and also the pattern of the earnings. Like I will say in the topic today, we're looking at what NGX, no, NGX trading, pattern in January, amidst what, and next quarter amidst earnings reporting season. Yes, we come back to Asia. I've said earlier, Asia market is in the red, down in the red, led by what? By decline in what? In South Korea and Hong Kong shares looking southward as a result of what? Sell off in what? In AI driven stocks. These are the things that pull the market down, that are in line with what the negative sentiment that also visited the market in the last trading day of what of of January. And even when the market in January closed positive for matured market like US, but because of the negative sentiment as a result of after the name of a new chairman has been mentioned, you can see that since they were seeing market reacting to that, that also have weighed down both other matured market. As we speak now, investors are digesting mixed signals from what from China, from Chinese latest what factory activities data. These are the things. But I tell you that the pullbacks were seen what sharp, the track loss we saw in what in Wall Street and others at this hour in Asia. But I'll tell you that most of the heavy stocks, tech stocks, are weighed on what on Nasdaq have led it to the index losing almost 1%. It's also a concern that as many that have seen around the artificial intelligence stocks being overpriced ahead of their fundamentals. That's weighing on those markets. Like I said, the Hong Kong South Korea market is down by 5% at this hour. This kind of sharp pullback, is what weigh down generally on Asian market as we speak. As I said, that as heavy sell off in this high tech companies, especially all those chip makers, are the ones Samsung Electronics and others that are seeing them dropping heavily. Their share price are down by almost 5% and 7% as to speak. This has weighed down the Asia market. If you go to Hong Kong index is down by 2.5% as to speak now. As a result of what they sell off in tech companies, I've said earlier, these are the all weighing on this. But I believe that elsewhere in this region, in this Asia region, we're seeing some broader weakness or weak market reflecting a cautious starting for the week and also for the month of February. When that last week we saw US stock also declining, and despite that the month ended positive. These are the things we're seeing that the sentiment for tech companies are going back. But I believe that the outlook for sectors in the different markets will change very soon, and that also will be where earnings will be speaking very loud to investors, because you're going to pay attention with these earnings that are coming from big names and also all those bellwether companies, blue chips, and also high price stock. These are the things that we know that investors will be looking at, even as already seen the caution mode, since President Trump, name Wash as to be the next chairman of Fed. People are digesting it, looking at it. A former Fed governor. These are what people are looking at the long tracking, trying to see inflation risk, and at the same time historically know that the view of all this hawkish monetary policy along the appointed president, all that investors are looking playing at, despite all the trade we saw in the month of January, because that January closed positive with the trade and geopolitical headwinds in the mature market. That also guide us what to do going to the future. Quickly, because of our time, if you look at the market right now, even Japan is down for the first trading day 1%. Australia is down by 1.3% as we speak, and that of India is flat, and that is the market that is flat. Others are easing as we speak. But quickly look at what is happening in Europe market. Europe market, I won't lie you, this morning look flat, but I'll tell you that losses in most of the commodity linked stocks are are already in the depth of kind of offsetting the gain in a defensive stock and in a such sector like consumer specials stocks. So these are the things that investors are battling there. But I tell you, digesting or analyzing or interpreting of the recent earnings, several earnings that hit the market is ongoing. As investors try to take the risk and also look at the health of these corporate numbers in that zone. But these are the things that's happening over there. And I believe that as investors are looking at all these numbers, that was such a good and other investment windows are looking down. Gold is selling down. We're seeing silver selling down. Even if you look at Bitcoin is also looking southward. You can see that all the investment windows or all the assets are looking in the southward, south direction as we speak. As investor, want to assess the corporate earnings that are coming. But I tell you, that focus is not only in Europe, it's not only in US or Asia. The focus on earnings, is across the globe. In Africa, every no part of the world, that companies have to report their number for you to know the state of this company, even when the numbers are pointing to past performance. Who will say that past performance is not the guarantee of the future, but I tell you, this past performance has also influencing activities today or tomorrow in presence of performance. Lastly, before we move to Africa market, we'll be talking about, let's look at what is happening, in US market. Like I said earlier, I'll tell you that all the indices in US are looking down. Gold has tended to drop. Bitcoin also ticking southward as we speak. And tell you that market is trying to reset for the new month. Meaning that is the mid the month, the first quarter of the year. I'll tell you that all these are linked to investors are analyzing the move by the president, the appointment, at the same time, what all this have kind of potential for the market. As we speak now, S&P, Dan Jones, they are on Dan Jones is down by 0.7%, S&P is down by 0.9, and that of Nasdaq, like I said earlier, is down by 1.1%. Investors are keeping their tab on this influx of quarterly earnings, to guide the decision coming days where they'll be taking advantage of this pullback to jump. And don't forget that in a sector in a company, once the pullback is not breaking down the major indices or the major averages of those stock market, it's an opportunity to buy too deep. But when it's a correction, and that strategy is also to apply at. But I tell you, regulators are looking at this opportunity not only in Nigeria to take advantage of pullback to buy into assets, especially as gold, silver, all of them are looking down. It's an opportunity. Even Bitcoin is an opportunity for people to buy into the sliding move, looking at to see where is the strong support level and take position ahead of the future. Because even investment in this future, also looking at the macroeconomic data, the macroeconomic environment, what is happening, government policy, and all this, and these numbers we're seeing how it's going to be sustained in the current year 2026. These are the things that are happening. But right now, let's shift our attention to Africa. I've told you that African market is mixed, but most of the major African market are in green. That's a good one. And also Nigeria market is kind of look at S&P, NGX is also in the green right now, up by a basic point of 105.06 basic point, representing about 0.06 flat market. Which also, if you look at the chart here, you can see that market is what we're seeing. Is the index for the market in Nigeria. You can see that we're seeing a flat movement. You can see all this way market has been trending down. Until market take away this strong, stronger candlestick, you will not see markets on a pullback or also a breakdown. But we have to also look at under moving averages to gauge a strong market and also a weak market. While speaking now, we're seeing that the market is doing 465,475.44%, representing, like I said earlier, 0.06 in the green. But I'll tell you speak that the market breadth of market entire is weak for having a 34 decliners against 24 advancers in the market. As earnings are already in the market, I tell that most market players are doing their diligence and digesting this number to know where they increase their position and where they also exit their position. And at the same time, what is the policy as concerning one particular sector or the other, and the general economy, what is the outlook as well as also on the first step MPC meeting here in Nigeria come February 23, 24, 22, 24. These are the things that investors are waiting for. I believe that for our speak now, our market is also not doing badly. Yes, let's come back to say, I said there's a pattern, which also when we review our market here in Nigeria, we can see for ourselves that the first month of the year, I've just given you the percentage gain. But if you look at the market performance, it's a good one for Nigeria market. We saw that our market was up by 6.27, which is good. We'll see the new listing of a company, and I tell you that the improving macroeconomic data and also the technical rally we saw an expectation of and earnings that also hit the market have also supported this market for the first month of the year. And that's extending the general pattern for straight 7 years. We're seeing that month delivering value for investors. but you need to see what is the pattern for this first quarter. I will tell you that the only year that Nigeria market witnessed first quarter throughout was down was 2014. We also saw that our first quarter, in the first month of the year, was down, second month, and then, but in other, for the from other years, it is when you see that the fourth month of the year is up, and you see the second month of the year, you're likely to see a decline in the third, month, which is the last quarter month for the first quarter of the year. But when you see that here, you see an up January, you see a down February. Also, you expect to see what a so an up March. But all this is a fact, is a expression of what, of the strength of the earnings and the reward pattern of listed companies on the exchange. That means we must, at this season now, that the peak of earnings in Nigeria, you must look at a company that has all it takes to pay reasonable dividend to the that is the reward I mean. That also would have quote to the level with what with the price. Because we have said earlier that we have seen a shift in price, even that I would say that as a January, we are seeing that our market is still on a value having a price to market price to earn about 7.6. Fine, it's okay, but no prices have gone ahead. Now I want to see the reward system will determine if this price will be sustained, and also especially also the performance of this company. The first quarter of the year will give insight to what we expect for 2026. Don't forget that this year also will have to see, we will consider a lot of factors that will come. Yes, there will be new listing where there will be also people who are existing in some position to buy into that new listing, and also it's a pre-election year. How the Nigerian government also want to fund their high deficit budget. Are they going to borrow more from local or from international market? These are things that also will say that if you are seeing higher yield in the market, what are you going to spend equity? What money believe in equity, or if you are seeing higher reward in equity on a short run, will more fund be flowing into equity, or is there was expected to see more flow to come into the market now, flow into government bond, flow into government open market operation, who's MO, these are the things OMO. But these are the things that we need to know. The open market operation, is it where the foreign investor looking money? Is it the equity space? These are the things that will guide us in that this first quarter is very, very important. We have seen a healthy market for the Nigerian market for first quarter, for first month of the year. Sorry, that also will continue in February. But the numbers were raised over as many analysts, many investors, market watchers are doing analysis, doing don't digest and take dividends. We are seeing that already. We are seeing some stock that have rallied before because there is no earnings. What we are seeing them pulling back. Those that have yet to rally or those that are at the level that the earnings can support, we are going to see them adding more to the up direction. Then you must pay attention to all this. That is the way you should invest now. I've given you the pattern we are seeing in the market in terms of Nigeria market that the only year we have seen the market is down in January, February, and March was 2014. But others, when you see the market is down, in March, in January, which we have seen in the previous years. But for the past 7 years, we have seen that January has closed in green. Or that you see, a mix between the March and February. And already we are entering the February. I would expect to see a pullback. If this first quarter, month, the earnings was that's the unaudited account. We have seen the strength of most companies that are report. Others are going to pay dividend and audited account will start coming from the second to third week of this month of February. Don't forget that this one they have up to 60 days. That means the first month and also the second month. That means after second week of February, we'll start seeing audited account that will come with what? With reward, will come with a corporate action, what I mean, dividend announcement. These are the things that should guide us that as the market is trending, the market is waiting for that trigger, especially as investor review these numbers, that get this number and take action. But don't forget that the PFA are the one that come with heavy money, and they don't react quickly to numbers until they've done due diligence on those numbers. And that's why now I think the market is a bit quiet, side trending, but I still tell you that those that are smart are taking opportunity with the strength of the price, strength of the earnings we have seen so far to position for the day and also for the month and the first quarter, especially as we expect to see reward from this quoted company. For me, it's not a time for you to panic at all. Rather, it's time for you to invest with knowledge and also know your source of information and take action. The difference between just getting information and not taking action is where you are make profit, nothing stop to take profit. Where you are seeing that there's potential for the stock to go up, you buy it now before they start moving. Because I tell you, once they start seeing more reward, that's another factor that will drive that or what price. That's why I said you must understand the pattern of what the first quarter of the year. On this note, I will say thank you for your time. But before we finally close, let's look at one or two stocks, looking at their chart to see how they are performed for today. Already, let's call our indices or our indicators all for this class. We have seen what the market is doing, like trend, but we want to see, okay, if you call an indicator in this market, are they still, in a position that yes, we can still take action. Let's call money money flow, very very important. Call our MACD, very very key. Let's see for our morning flow and MACD. But let's take our T line to 8. This T line play a major role in any time frame you are using. You are using a short time frame, you are using long time frame. It's very very important. You see what we are paying attention. Look at the markets are trending. That's one thing I should note here. I've just displayed some indicators to guide us. Market is still very very strong as it's trading flat on the T line. Showing yes, market is not relatively strong, or it has not break down to find a weakness or but still flat on the T line. But there's one thing that's very, very important that move ahead of the market. What I say is a leading indicator is money flow. Where is from entry? You can see that money flow, the money started leaving this market or because profit taking, you can see that money flow is also coming down. As we speak now, it has crossed 50, moving around 48. And MACD also, you can see that MACD also is looking weak. You can see that it has crossed this what we call a bearish MACD at this point now. And that it has come across the signal line here. This is a bearish MACD in a market that's also started waiting for a trigger. As speaking now, fund is not a new fund. And also, if you look at also the volume that traded so far, we have seen relatively low volume traded. I can see that most of the volume for the past almost the month of January was below average traded volume. You can see it here as in this chart. It's saying that yes, market is waiting for a major ball. When you see volume in the market, you can see, like I said earlier, you see when market already, you can see good volume. All this one, almost above the average high volume. In the case you can see it here, was about. You saw also when it moved at late December, you can see that volume also tried to look up. But for the month of January, for little days in December and less of January, you can see that we have seen relatively low volume traded so far. That is why if you look at the volume traded in the month of January and that of December, you can see that they will have a decline in volume traded. But let's see how this month of February and this peak of earnings season between now and the end of March, what the market will also be doing. For quick one, let's look at the what is Julius Berger doing right now is very, very important. JB, let's look at the JB performance. The number that came was positive. Is JB also doing excellently now? On your chart, you want to look at Julius Berger and see how it's performing right now in the market. Pay attention to this. It's very, very important that we understand. See the line for Julius Berger. You can see this on the daily chart. You can see what the stock as high as 200 to the bottom, 190. But you can see that this like the highest is doing. If you go back and look at the 1 month performance, you can see that in the month of the first day of the month of February, it has gone up here. For the month of January, it break out towards from the last resistance level of 172. You can see another new trend. You can see also the money flow are giving you a sign around 62 up, and MACD are giving you a sign where it's coming from inside the and MACD has become bullish now. First trading day of February, you can see, and also the number that they released came from there or whether it was not bad at all. They see a turnaround in the performance after pulling back when contract issue. But now we're seeing this election year, we need to see more construction or more all road population in some projects. We see expect to see better numbers between Q1 and Q2. You can see where it's going. After we go, how would the dividend payment? They potentially pay 3 naira and 350. With that support, this 200 naira and above. Because already it's 2 naira, but anytime can break out from this I think that we should pay attention to. What the value was seen in NACO is good to always pay attention to stock that reward investor handsomely, because that is another way of getting value, another factor that drives performance on the prices. You can see this hour that before now. Look at this a monthly chart. It has gone as high as almost 157 before pulling back. But now I can see that it has after forming this hammer, I can see that it's going up again. For this morning, there's a kind of a marginal pullback. The market is about. If you look at the money flow is really 93. One is entering the stock path. We look at where it has remained up there. So people will say that this is oversold, they'll be jumping out. Overbought, sorry, they'll be jumping out. You can see that despite reading around above 70 RSI, it has remained up. Even 70 money flow, it has remained up. Also, you can see that the market is still very, very bullish. on the stock. For hybrid, that you should pay attention to that stock. But if you take 1 hour, time frame, you can see on the 1 hour time frame, you can see that they will selling the stock down from after touching at 24. You can see that start selling down. But for me, there's no cause for alarm. Also, you can see that MACD is still very, very bullish on what on a 1 hour chart for the stock. That means you must pay attention to this call. It's also money flow is looking down marginally to read the for job. But if you look at your 1 hour chart, you can see that there is also a hammer formation here after pulling back. That is also a sign that all these candlesticks speak and tell you story behind the price movement. Sellers are pulling it up now, but buyers are pushing it up again. You can see they pull it down to as well as 114 today, 115. But buyers are pushing back to almost 118 and 118 and 20. You can see that is market for you. You must not look away from company that reward handsomely and company also the numbers will support that reward at the end of the day. On this note, I will say thank you. Look forward to seeing you on Wednesday. Bye.